This channel is supported by Truefire.
Stop all that. The Truefire All Access membership, they've brought the price down for March Madness, they're calling it. So the cheapest you can get it any time of year is $99. It beats the codes that I normally tell you about. So I just wanted to shout that out here. So you get All Access membership for $99 for the year. You know, get into your Tim Millers, your Robin Fords, there's Larry Carlton stuff on there, there's Eric Johnson stuff on there. Like, all of our favourite players seem to have Truefire courses. Check that out. March Madness, it's mad. I'm willing to hear other suggestions in the comments, but I think that maybe we've lived through a golden era of Fender guitars coming out of Mexico. And for me, I personally feel like the Road Worn series actually were a pretty special thing. I've played a few of them. I used to own one. It's one of the guitars that I regret selling, one of the very few. These are not my guitars, but they are actually for sale. But let's delve into these. you got the 60s model, which obviously has a rosewood fretboard and then 60s style pickups, and also like a very comfortable C feeling neck. The 50s model, this one doesn't have the standard pickups. I think they've been upgraded to Fender Custom Shop 57s to 62s. Has a V style sort of neck, which is a bit more like the sort of 50s, also not totally dissimilar to the Eric Johnson, except this is quite a slimmer neck than an Eric Johnson. This has a 7.25 inch radius, and I can't remember what the 60s has. Is it also 7.25? Possibly. But yeah, looks neat. This one's lighter than the 57. I'll put up the weights on the video. If you were particularly looking for one of these, then, as I say, they are for sale. So contact Key to My Cage on Instagram if you're looking for one of these. So when you see them up close, I think this is a slightly later one. There were sort of two runs, right? And there's like the first series, which looks a little bit more beaten up, and then the slightly later series, a bit more subtle. I just really think this is a very comfortable guitar in the hand, and it's kind of got some specs that just really suit me perfectly, and really does stand up pretty well with some way more expensive guitars. Like I get more out of this than the American Professional. I think, you know, right where it's playing right now, I prefer the feel to the Vintara. The Vintara is poly, it's never going to wear back to this extent. So I just think there is something about these Road Worn guitars for me. Even if you're not into the relic thing, I think a lot of people are still into the nitro thing, so it's like a good base starting point and a pretty decent sort of mod platform if you're looking for a guitar that will age with you. And they were kind of hot on the heels of the Fender Baja, which was basically an era just after the Mexican shop had burned down, and then they rebuilt. You can see on this one that it is very much a sandpaper job. Basically, they sent some custom shop builders, I think Chris Fleming, down, and I think the rumour is that some of these were even American bodies that got sent down to Mexico to be made. This, as you can tell, has less of the kind of relicing on the fretboard, and looks, you know, fairly subtle by custom shop standards, I think. But, as again, I say it's just sort of like a good, solid, more era-based Fender, whereas if you were buying a nitro American these days, it would be 1700, right? I don't think this side of the Fender Mexico thing has disappeared altogether. They still make the Brad Paisley, they still make the Mike McCready, they still make the Chrissy Hines. So I think maybe they've shifted from being the sort of like general Road Worn to being like relic artist-based guitars, which might be worth checking out. If you've got, you know, Mexican Fenders that you prefer to these, or an era that you think was better, please let other folks know in the comments. Definitely have a soft spot for the Fender Road Worns, as they were the first Fender that I ever bought. I bought a black Fender, which I still to this day regret selling. It looked a lot like my buddy Chris Elphick's, but I think a really respectable, I think I bought mine for £500. Now they hold their value pretty well, but I think, yeah, let other folks know in the comments your experiences with them, if you dig them, or if you think there's something equivalent out there being made that is totally worth it as well. Like the Vintara is pretty good too.